King of Cups. The King of Cups speaks of balanced male and feminine energy. He holds all the positive qualities of both masculine and feminine. Often he indicates a literal man in your life. Usually, when he represents a live person, he's referring to a very kind and loving man, who will generally have hair on the lighter end of the spectrum. Know that you are supported by the universe, in ways seen and unseen, when he appears. In general, the King of Cups represents kindness and compassion. There is an element of pure and true love in your life no matter what your situation when he appears. Nurture yourself, and allow others to nurture you, when you receive this card in a reading. Work. In the context of work, this card usually points to a male boss or coworker who is very much on your team. Don't hesitate to ask him for support if you need it. If you're wondering how others feel about you at work when the King comes up, know that they appreciate and respect you and your work more than you know. Things are likely to be improving at work when the King appears. Love. With regard to love questions, when the King appears, the news is very good. There are few cards that are more loving than the King of Cups. If you are looking for love, this can indicate someone who is very balanced and loving headed your way soon. The suits in the tarot are not infallible when it comes to indication of physical characteristics, but in general the cups will indicate people with hair/coloring on the lighter end of the spectrum. The King bodes well regarding love. Finances. The King of Cups can indicate a need to face the music financially. Don't avoid the reality of your financial situation. He also can point you to a need to be generous no matter how tight your financial situations might be. No matter how modest your situation is, there is doubtless something that you can and should share with others, even if it's only an object or your time. This can often open up more prosperity in our lives. Give with kindness and compassion, and know that what goes around always comes around. Don't hesitate to ask for help if you need it. Health. With regard to health questions, particularly if you are under a doctor's care, the King reminds us to trust that the healers in our lives are there for a reason. The King can indicate good health news, and trustworthy advisors/healers, particularly male ones. Treat your body with care and compassion. Pay attention to what you are bringing into your body and your surroundings when the King appears. Spirituality. With regard to spirituality, the King can be on the face of it somewhat contradictory, as he combines the generally feminine qualities of compassion, love, and concern, with the male energy of action, accomplishment, and discernment. Meditate on these combinations, and take action. How can you be compassionately active? How can you be loving and still draw boundaries? Start by drawing boundaries for yourself before you consider taking boundaries to others. Walking meditations are good and bring insight when this King appears. Tarot history. The history of the tarot is shrouded in mystery. Very little in the way of concrete information is known about its origin, although many things have been written about it. We will probably never know the truth, as fact and fiction seem to be irrevocably mixed nowadays. The tarot originated in northern Italy in the early 15th century, sometime between 1420 to 1440. Despite the fact that it is often attributed to originating from China, Egypt, India, or Morocco, to name just a few, there is absolutely no evidence that this is the case. Nor, as is often quoted, is there any evidence whatsoever that the tarot was brought to Europe by the Romanis. The name tarot is often attributed to being Egyptian, Hebrew, or Latin. This is not the case. The earliest names are all Italian in origin. The cards were originally called Carte de Triomphe. Around 1530 the word tarocchi began to be used to differentiate them from a new game of triumphs that was in vogue at the time. The etymology of this new word is unknown. The German variant was known as tarot and the French tarot. The symbolism for the tarot is drawn from the culture of medieval and Renaissance Europe. The tarot subjects are distinctive to European Christendom. The symbolism does not come from Egypt or any of the other exotic locales often mentioned. It is often stated that modern-day playing cards evolved from the tarot. This is not the case. Modern-day playing cards came to Europe courtesy of Islam. They were an adaptation of the Islamic Mamluk cards. They appeared quite suddenly in many different European cities between 1375 and 1378. These early cards had suits of cups, swords, coins, and polo sticks, and courts consisting of a king and two male underlings. The tarot adds the Fool, the trumps, and a set of queens to this system. Sometime before 1480, the French introduced cards with the now familiar suits of hearts, clubs, spades, and diamonds. The Joker is not original to either the early form of modern-day cards, or to the tarot, but instead originated in the USA around 1857 and was used as a wild card in poker as well as the highest trump in euchre. It is also often stated that the Catholic and Protestant churches outlawed the tarot and all who used it in an effort to stamp out so-called heretical teachings. This is not the case. The Inquisition documented what the Church considered as evidence of heresy in great detail. The tarot was not even mentioned. After the Reformation, less controversial images for the Pope and Papess were substituted by card makers as the Church had objected to the original images. It is often said that the tarot was not used as a divination tool prior to 1781. The tarot was used as early as the 16th century to compose poems describing personality characteristics. There is historical evidence that in one case at least these verses were presented as relating to the person's fate. In other words, divination. Divinatory meanings were assigned to the tarot in Bologna in the early 1700s, and this is the first unambiguous evidence of tarot divination. Ordinary playing cards were connected with divination as early as 1487. It is not unreasonable to think that the tarot was also. The tarot has often been attributed with being a pillar of Western esoterica occultism. This is certainly not the case. The first occult writers to discuss the tarot were Court de Gabellin and the Comte de Melot in 1781. The tarot was not mentioned in any occult work for the first 350 years of its existence. The terms Major Arcana, Minor Arcana, High Priestess, and Hierophant are anachronistic when referring to the older tarot decks. The historically appropriate terms are the trumps and the fool, the suit cards, Papess or Popess, and Pope. Likewise, pentacles and wands are relatively recent substitutions for the traditional suit names of coins and staves or batons. The original Italian titles of the cards were in some cases different from the later French titles that have become familiar to us through the Tarot de Marseille and its descendants. Also, the ordering of the trumps varied considerably in Italy where the cards originated. It is not known which ordering is the earliest one. Even the number of cards in the deck varied a great deal. so care should be used in making statements about the original meaning of the cards based on the familiar titles and ordering. Many believe that the Waite-Smith Tarot is the original, standard, or most authentic tarot deck in existence. This is absolutely untrue. The Waite-Smith/Rider-Waite deck was created in 1909, not even 100 years ago, making it a relative newcomer in the almost 600-year history of the tarot. There is actually no definitive version of the tarot.